Welcome to Center of the Lighthouse. Good to see you tonight. Me and my redonkulous self. Of course, I'm going to do a few technical things. Relearning all over againage. And againage. There we go. That should do it. A couple of more checks. Hello everyone, welcome to Center of Light. Dwayne Goodwin's in the house. D Goodwin, that is. Bass playing fool. You're just a fool like me. One more check, excuse me. There we go. That should do. Welcome to Center of Light. Tonight is Center of Light. Soul contract. It's time to pay the piper. I know what soul contract is, what it means. I'm going to combine another aspect, another variable. I'm going to make two things fit. Hello, Dana Lee Trotter. So tonight is Center of Light soul contract. What is a soul contract? Time to pay the piper. You're not in trouble. But on the double, things are due for completion. This is the spin, this is the tendency. All right, let me look at some notes. Again, as always, thank you, Dr. Katie Camara, for creating this fundraiser for Center of Light. So I can get back, which I am back on my computer, and I'm grateful. But there's some other things I need to take care of. If you feel that you can donate to Center of Light in this way, fantastic. If you can share this post, fantastic. If you can bless this post, fantastic. I love you. Tonight is Center of Light, looking at the deal we made. Time to pay the piper. Soul contract. Finishing the soul contract with spirit, ourself, but in this humble way, something greater than myself that I'm yet aware of. Finishing the soul contract with spirit and contracts with others. All revolves around karma. Power. I'm handing you something. With the intent, hope, and blessing for breakthrough, which brings you, me, we of it all to connection with love itself. What is love? It goes right back to the beginning. It's power, which creates greater breakthroughs, greater connections, greater possibilities of infinite acceptance, allowance, appreciation, love. Back to the beginning. So the universe has been expanding in and out breath, soham, soham, the in and out breath of God. And now we're on another 26,000 year cycle. It's time to become complete with yourself. You are whole. You are complete with yourself. But we do get into trouble sometimes in our life. So we need to raise the vibrations of not only ourselves, but the collective world. That is the purpose of our birth. That is the purpose of this divine earth human experience. Not only to see, it's intelligence. Oh my God, it's intelligent. This is an experiment that we were sent here. We chose to come here. Not only to complete on the lower planes who we are so we can become the prophecy of a heaven existence on a physical plane. First time it's ever been experimented with. So how do we play that game? Well, simply, you go complete some karma. And when we do, we lift, 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 lift. Tonight is, again, Center of Light, soul contract. Time to pay the piper. Here's the agreement. A mock agreement made today. Agreement on an old scroll at that. What are the names of the seller? Higher ups. What is the name of the buyer? Sexy human being. What is the effective date of this agreement? Since, or in the beginning, when it all happened in a linear fashion so the mind can understand, because when we get into the levels of infinite ground, there really is no more mind. All there is self. What is the property being sold? In this regard, we are the property. I am the me. I have a body. We identify with the body. What is the property being sold? The soul. It is on loan for the earth experiment, which has to be paid in the end. We are at the end, which is a new beginning. What is the total amount to be paid for the property? Karma. It's a karmic debt. When the world collectively ascends karmic debt, then it becomes the ascended planet into 5D that pretty much all scripture talks about, points to. Where was the property located when purchased? 123 Confused Lane, Anytown, Gaia. 12345. Note. Late payments are subject to penalties. Note. Non-payment is subject to higher court. Dear Lord. I think we get the point. Let me refresh this over here one more time. Something is not happening. There we go. It's time to pay our debts. Sins. Forgive our debtors as we forgive ourselves. Karmic debts. You are either being removed from the planet. This is crucial. We should not take it for granted. Always keep everything I say in the spirit of joy, love, acceptance, allowance, appreciation, non-judgment. Always. But you don't have to. You are either being removed from the planet you are either being removed from the planet to a place you can pay that debt, or you can stay here because you are doing the work by raising your vibrations and the world's, thereby paying what is due. Like you, as I look about in and out toward the external world, the temporal world, I, speaking for myself, I see spirit moving in the truckers for Canada. I see the spirit moving for the truckers, which started March 1st across America to DC. That's powerful stuff. To DC and everything that DC does stand for or could stand for. Future tense. I see spirit moving in the government. I see spirit moving in COVID, vaccinations. I'm not a opposer against. I'm just saying I see the hand of spirit moving things like a pawn. I see spirit moving in the Ukraine and Russia war. I see spirit moving in all other worldly situations, holding all people to their soul contracts that we all have made. Singularly, groups, larger groups, state, country, continent, planet. Continuing with the analogy of debt, money, something to be paid back. Give, take, give. Many accounts have been moved to collection Many accounts have been moved to the collections department with an added penalty for said delinquent payment or for that which is past due. Past due. Not only past due because it's delinquent, but it's from the past. Trauma, emotional imbalance, all these things are from the past. And now it's due. It's past due because it's from the past, which is now due. Not only is it past due as in a missed payment, so that's what I just vesseled as I wrote that earlier. We either make the payment or get repoed off the planet. It's always been this way, but now the window is widened. This is a time for paying the debt that is owed. We all have karma. We came from the earth, we're living on the earth, and one day we will return back to the dirt of Mother Gaia. This is a time for paying that back, the debt we owe. We all have karma. That is why we are here. So two things are happening. We are completing ourselves and lifting the world. The Great Awakening and Unfoldment Experiment. I want to say, because I am concerned about copyright infringement, I don't want to pankin on my social media hiney. So I'm going to post this link, which is on YouTube, into these forums. If you're interested in this presentation, this teaching, because you want to take it in its entirety, then you have to watch this. Curran Ray is on fire. He does not hold back. He does not hold back. I want to check something, man. Man, what is this? What is up with that? Let me try it one more time. See, I have to do these things as I go, because when I go live on Facebook, everything simply just changes. So, tonight is Center of Light Soul Contract. Getting back into the groove I left. Watch that video. It's 4 minutes long. He does not hold any punches. He pushes us forward. So now we're going to move into an audio bite segment of something, a teacher, a psychic medium, that I found today about soul contracts. For those, God bless you, seriously, who are in this level, this place, this space of whatever it feels like to be you, and it may not be so pleasant. I'm telling you, it's going to sting. If it has to do with your family, well, everything's really your family because you relate it to everything. But being your family, it's going to sting in a beautiful way. Open up. Take it in the cheek. Take it in the heart. Stand up and rise, my friend.
I hope you're doing well. Today I wanted to talk about the subject of what is a soul contract. And what a soul contract basically is something that we agree upon before coming into this life. Many times you've heard the expression pre-birth assignment. Before we come, everything is free will. Do we pick our parents? You betcha. And for those of you that don't like your parents, guess again, you did. To the kids that said we picked our parents, no way. Yeah, we pick our children. Children pick us. It's very interesting. Sometimes our life is very difficult, and there are reasons we are put with difficult people, and you say, why would I ever sign up to be my mother's daughter? Well, for various reasons. Maybe it was for you to be that sweet child that was total opposite of your mom. Maybe your mother was the taker. Maybe your mother was the selfish one. Maybe your job was to say, hey, I want to see if I can just make a difference, that she sees that I'm going to really try to be a good soul. And guess what? She failed miserably. She still was not the nice person, even with you extending that olive branch your whole life. And you're going to say, really? Yeah. So what do? And I usually tell this to people. When you have been the best person you can, and your parent just keeps hurting you over and over and over again, basically a soul contract is like a mortgage. Okay, you have a mortgage and you have this nice house and you can't pay for it. So now you stop paying on your mortgage. What happens? The mortgage becomes null and void. It's kind of like the same thing. Your soul contract, even though you signed up to say, be your mother's daughter, everything that you've tried to do and it didn't matter, and your mother is still very, say, narcissistic. Your soul contract, believe it or not, is over. You have the power to say, I've done all I can, enough is enough. So now you decide, I'm going to distance myself. And you know what? That is probably what you need to do, because maybe the elevation of your mother's difficult personality, and she continued to get worse, was maybe teaching you to say no, teaching you to love yourself or to stand up for yourself. Maybe your mother's personality, as horrible and as hard as it was teaching you your limits and your balances to what you're going to take. There are reasons why difficult people are in our life, and it becomes a contract to what we agreed before coming down here to do. The missions are always different for everybody. So soul contracts are really for trying to make somebody else better, giving them a chance to be better with the love that you provide. Maybe even you realizing when it's time to walk away from something that's so bad, and it just will evolve in a way to what you're learning because of the difficult relationship. Now, I always say it's wonderful to make a mistake because this is how we grow. But then you can flip it, because if you're making the same mistake and just the faces are changing, you're learning nothing. And many times when people are getting different people thrown at them because they're different in what they look like, but their character is the same, that's when I start pointing things out to my clients. And that's when they have an aha moment. Like, this is what this is. It's right in front of me, and you're right, this is what this is supposed to be. Oh my God, I am doing this over and over again. So soul contracts are a lot of things. There is a handicapped client that I have, and he is the most bubbly client I've ever seen. He comes here on his own on a motorized wheelchair. He's wonderful. He sees me about once a year. He lives alone, and he's in an assisted place, but he still lives alone. This man does everything himself, and he has no use of anything, but still he manages to be as independent and live as independent. Now, is he bitter? No. And I ask him, how do you feel about being handicapped? He says, I was handicapped since I was 14 years old. And he says, and I've learned to live with it, but I'm okay with it. Why? Now you're going to say, did he sign up for this? Yes, he did. Now you're going to say, why would anybody want to sign up to be handicapped and be in pain? Well, maybe for his soul growth, but in another way, maybe for someone else's soul growth, to what they needed to experience and learn from him. I look at this nice man, this very special man, as a hero by how he constantly keeps going, and he doesn't act handicapped, nor do I treat him that way. So I love when I see him, because he brightens my day because of his attitude and how much he's able to pass on to others. Soul contracts are for a reason, but what we sign up for is mainly for our soul growth. We have to experience everything full throttle, as I always say, and past lives are very important because they're molding our soul. And I always say, we have to go through everything as a cycle. Rich, poor, female, male, male again, female, gay, straight, homeless, narcissistic, abuser, abusee, handicapped. I was not nice to somebody? Yeah, we all weren't. Even me. You're going to say, really? And funny because I can't be mean to anybody, but was I probably a bad person? Probably in another lifetime. In one of my lives I was. And you're going to say, why? Because I had to learn the difference. How are we going to know the difference if we don't go through the cycles? Soul contracts, what we sign up for, is very, very special. Sometimes you can be a sacrifice for somebody else's learning that maybe you signed up for as well. So soul contracts are definitely for the evolution of soul growth. Remember that. The key thing is, and this is what always gets me through, no matter how bad maybe your life might be. For some people it's really bad. It's not the end. It's just maybe for this lifetime, for whatever reason, what you have to learn and what you have to experience. And hopefully the next time you come around, your soul will remember. And maybe you'll have different parents, and maybe it'll give you another shot to get it right with different people that will handle you and your special soul. I always say we're nothing more than recycled, okay, souls in new bodies. This is what it is. It's constantly evolving. So now your question after this video may be, well, will we ever join God in heaven? How long do we stay there? Well, it depends if all the contracts have been met and our soul growth is as close to God-like as possible. When we achieve this, that's when we stay with God permanently. So, it's very interesting how this works, but does soul contracts exist? They do. They may not exist in your thinking to how you like it, but it does. Just like I always see people who have bipolar or have mental issues, okay? They're experiencing that too. Have they experienced it in other lifetimes? Maybe. And then maybe this is a first lifetime for them to understand what maybe they weren't so nice in the other lifetime that somebody had this issue. Think about that. Think about somebody who was homophobic and didn't like gay people. Okay? I say this all the time. Well, your next lifetime, you might be a person that might come in a gay body with gay feelings, and you have to experience it. Now, I need to make this clear. This is not for punishment. It's a chance for the soul to experience and evolve. This is what this is all about. So sometimes when you think you're being punished, you're not. You might even be the divine teacher. You might be. For other people to have to learn through your experience. So it's not as complicated as people try to overthink it. But do soul contracts exist? Yes. And am I afraid of the next lifetime of what I'm going to be dealt with? No, I'm not. Whatever it is, I'm going to hope to get through it as best I can with the feelings that I have accomplished through all the lifetimes that I've gotten to this one. So that's a good way of looking at it. Okay? Until next time, I hope this helped. Subscribe to YouTube, subscribe to Psychic Medium Susan Rowland Facebook, and you will always see events that are being posted as well as all our YouTubes. All right? Until then, all my love. Take care.
Welcome back to Center of Light. I had something really freaky just happen. I'm going to leave it alone. It's good to see you tonight at Center of Light. Soul Contract. Time to pay the piper. Hello, Shauna. We got to pay what's due. What is due? You. We are what's due. In order to do that, we have to complete our contracts. You can always change your agreement with reality. Hello, Melinda. She says, I love freaky. Hey, we ain't going there, sister. Yet. But we have to pay what's due. We came to the earth, came from the earth, we live on the earth, and when we die, we go back to self-identity, body image-wise. We go back to the earth. So we have to always pay what's due. But what hastens its arrival is consciousness. Becoming aware. Hello, Shauna. I love that dream catcher. Thank you. Pay what's due. You got to pay the ferryman. You got to pay the piper. I'm going to read something I got from Fascinating TV off of YouTube. I fear, that's a good word, but in a balanced contextual way, the karmic repercussions, the soul contract of those who say, don't tread on me, I will give you a copyright slap, strike. So I'm not going to do it. So I'm going to read it, but I'm going to read it with force as it was delivered. So I'm going to turn it up. And I'm also going to turn up the music so it can create some punch, some power. All right, here we go. From Fascinating TV. On YouTube. Hello, powerful galactic beings. Welcome back to another video. A soul contract is not a person. It's an agreement or a contract to experience certain things so as to learn certain lessons during any lifetime. Soul contracts are agreements we make with other souls before we are born. Souls we have contracts with will be those to bring deep changes into our lives through unique connection. These contracts are made with a special purpose, and that is to teach us important lessons we have chosen to learn before our incarnation in this lifetime. People have soul contracts. People we have soul contracts with will come to our lives for this purpose, and they will be an important and unavoidable part of our unique path. You signed a contract before you come to Earth into the family you have chosen. From one experience, the learnings you want, and perhaps, wow, this is so strange. I copied this from a transcript, so there's no punctuation. Spiritual contracts are no written contracts. They are part of the soul's pre-incarnational life planning for an individual yet to be born. Spiritual contracts are better known as soul contracts, which is the tentative plan of the exchanges and actions to neutralize karma. Ooh! I'm taking that in for me. Or fulfill dharma, which is purpose, together. And something to achieve and learn in a given specific incarnation concerning two or more souls involved. Sacred contracts are soul documents in the Akashic Hall of Records. It's in the Library of Forever. Every breath you take, every time you take a shower, every time you flatulate, every time you do whatever you do, it's all recorded. Otherwise, we couldn't exist. It's forever. Sacred contracts are soul documents, life assignments that are encoded within your psyche and soul in the symbolic language of archetypes. Archetypes are the universal patterns of power that you have been using all of your life to organize your thoughts and emotions, as well as the means through which you assess every person you meet and encounter in the many different forms. The moment you meet anyone, you instantly lock him or her into at least one archetype, and in this way, you immediately get a fix on the type of power that person carries within their psyche. Oh my God! That contract is for the soul to adhere to the laws of creation as a means to uphold the destiny of the spirit. You have to step back, or you can, or choose step back to hear it. It's not always pretty, pleasant to be put in check, but to be put in check is everything. We know nothing. I know nothing. Should be the tendency. Should be. Could be. Would be if we simply choose. So now we're going to move into video number 2, which is a video of Shunyamurti. Again, I have to bury these audio bites in sound to disguise the algorithm. Not because I'm stealing, because my intention is always healing. And I'm sure that is that of the teachers themselves, but everybody wants to make money. I get it. My sister Shauna Meek says, wow, never thought of things that way. Shauna, that is the awakening of all of us, is getting out of the way we always thought things to be. Magic can only happen outside of the comfortable box that never brought us any gifts at all. You, on the other hand, Shauna, and many of you, Melinda, and the like, have blessed me with many gifts of being out of the box. When I never saw all of y'all's grace that you have given me. So thank you. So let's now move into Shunyamurti. Listen. Hear. Hear, but hear. He's going to help us, me for sure, resolve my soul, come to completion, make my final truck automobile payment. Truck, vehicle, this is the vehicle. I'm going to make my final payment. Hello, Karma de Shashij. I want to read you this. Came to me, as I said before, when I go to the bathroom, I get inspiration. Completion of karma equals completion of soul contract. Soul contracts. Spirit contract, individuals contracts. Non-completion of karma equals debt, penalties, and court. Higher court until said payment has been rendered. Until then, trouble will remain. Woo! It's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes. Shunyamurti. He's going to get organic, raw, sexy, and dirty. Enjoy.
Every ego is formed out of the judgments of the other. That's how it comes into being, as a reaction to the judgments of the other, projected onto the subject. and one determines one's identity by the way others treat you, or your interpretation of how they treat you. And if it doesn't feel loving, then the judgment against yourself is that you weren't lovable. And then that stain of a negative judgment about the self becomes part of the unbearable knowledge of the ego. It's knowledge that is untrue because it is taken in as if it were true rather than as the projection of another who was not able to see you as you really are because of their own karma, maya, their own limitations of love and of perception. But those judgments about oneself that one gets through the role one finds oneself having to play in the family system, then because of the unbearable pain that they cause, need to be projected out. And so one judges others. And one tends to create a strategy of defenses so that those deeply hurtful judgments don't get triggered, and that one is able to keep out of one's space those which one feels are threatening to one's ability to stay secure from attacks that one's subconscious mind feels too vulnerable to be able to cope with. So this becomes the fragility of the ego that needs to use judgments as defenses, aggressive defenses. And that aggressivity is used in order to keep one's space safe for the ego to be able to hold on to whatever it feels is valuable but insecure. That doesn't pertain to its true nature and therefore could be lost. And so it's that illusion of duality and the fear of loss, ultimately including ego loss itself, that then produces the way of life that produces more and more karma that gets encrusted on those original self-judgments that turn into external judgments that create ever more of a sense of guilt, shame, fear, anger, and all of that brew of negative emotions that the ego is stewing in and trying to run away from. And it's only when there is a recognition that none of the judgments that you believe have any truth. They are a private religion that every ego takes on. And we have to convert out of that false religion, which is an idol worship, but it can be a negative idol worship, right? You can be either the best idol in the world, who others should worship, or you are the worst and need to be, improved and helped and all of that, and a mixture of the two, and all the permutations that come from that essential duality of good and bad, or even good and evil. So the way out is to stop eating from the tree of the false knowledge of good and evil, and to eat only of the tree of eternal life, which is free of all judgments, is just pure divine love. Because you are a child of God, you are entitled to God's unconditional love, and God's love is unconditional, without judgment. And the more you accept that as the only reality, the more that the ego is flushed away in the receiving of the Shakti that comes when one feels worthy of receiving a full dose of it, and has the courage to allow the Shakti to cleanse you of all the stains that will ultimately cleanse you of the judgment that's at the core of the ego. And it's feeling that it exists because it has been stained by some emotional assertion that is like a knife in its heart. And once that is removed and the heart heals, the ego shell falls away, and the unconditional love of the God Self shines in its perfection. And all of those judgments are realized as having never had any reality or validity or relevance or pertinence to who you are. I hope that's helpful.
It's very helpful, thank you. And I was very beautifully struck by you saying that it takes courage to be cleansed, to be purified of all of that. I had never thought of it, courage as being necessary to be healed.
But that courage is already inherently in you. You have it. It's not that you have to find it somewhere. Okay? So courage is also faith in your own inner goodness and your realization that you belong to God. And in that ability to surrender, you are cleansed. And it's given to you as a gift of grace. No matter what karma you feel is clinging to you or sticking to the identity, it will all fall away in that surrender of love. Okay.
Thank you. Can I ask you a follow-up question?
Okay.
Thank you. About the difference between judgment and discernment. How does one know when one is discerning between, let's say, right mind, wrong mind, or right, wrong in any situation, good, bad, or when one is judging?
Real discernment does not come as a thought. It does not come in the form of duality. It comes as a recognition, an instantaneous recognition of the truth. And the truth, of course, is the non-duality and the absolute perfection and goodness of all. So as soon as there is any judgment of bad or of some, let's say, wrongness, the discernment has already lost its center. And when one can remain without judgment, the entire contextuality of the event that the ego with its reality tunnel is judging as being bad and wrong, when it's seen with the shutter of the camera open rather than closing on that event and saying, see, you did bad, right? Without doing that judgment, then one sees the infinite contextualization in which it had to occur and is the part of a stream of unfoldment of the explicate order that reveals the perfection of all that is.
Welcome back to Center of Light. Good to see you tonight. Tonight is Center of Light Soul Contract. Make a couple of adjustments. There we go. Center of Light Soul Contract. Time to pay the piper. Hello, everyone. Good to see you. The lady in the audio bite that you just heard, she asked Shunya Murdy. Let me get to that shortly. What came to me in my bathroom inspiration. Karma comes about by judgment. Judgment of self and others. I did a something and I feel bad about it. To some degree, maybe you should, because it's your divine inspiration stepping in and saying you could have made a higher choice. But karma comes about by judgment. Judgment of self and others. It's a measurement stick. A barometer of always saying when we are on the mark or doing something that helps us to lose our spark. Something the young lady said about how can we tell the difference between discernment and judgment. Fantastic question. It's a pickle that every spiritual aspirant goes through. Okay, I'm doing the spiritual dance, walk, talk. I want to make sure that I'm in discernment mode and not judgment mode, because that's a big thing. That treading that threshold, crossing over that threshold is a big thing. And Sonia Murray gave a phenomenal answer. Discernment and judgment, how do you know? She asked. My explanation is a lot more simple. If in any situation you ask yourself that if you are discerning or judging, you've already gotten your answer. There's an undercore, an underlying, an undercurrent. Because if you know that you were using your discernment, such a question would never arise. There's your mark. From homecoming, crossing the bridge to the soul. Tonight is Center of Light soul contract, completing that which is due. Homecoming, crossing the bridge to the soul, my dialogue with spirit. Center of Light soul contract. Time to pay the ferryman. It's time to pay the piper. No one is demanding you pay anything, but to ascend quicker than anything to higher levels, you got to pay what is due. Spirit speaks. Keith, fear is nothing more than that, a fear. Time and again, the mistakes you have made by living without the divine principles have perpetuated your fear cycle and have left you with all those feelings of lack. Remember, whenever you buy into one of your fears, it is because you have a false sense of emptiness. I will break this down for you. You can say that fear is an acronym? Is that the right word? False emptiness actualizing itself, FEAR. A space void of love, God, you. Fear is a self-created block that constricts you and keeps you from becoming open to the divine self. Karma. That wants to pour through you and bring you fulfillment, dharma, purpose. So you see, even though you do have God qualities, fear is the one thing I do not share with you, for it has no connection at all to anything that is love. The physics here should not be too complex to understand. Fear is yours and yours alone. Later on, when I share my divine principles with you, I'm going to skip that. I ask Spirit, or say to Spirit, sometimes it seems that at the very moment I am feeling fearful, my fear is protecting me from something. What a big illusion, right? It's powerful. Big dog, I'm going to run, whatever. And they say, don't run. Analogously. Sometimes it seems that at the very time I'm feeling fearful, my fear is protecting me from something. And Spirit responds, well, Keith, does it seem as if it's protecting you from the very thing you're afraid of? And I say, yeah, that's exactly what it's like. What you have not yet realized is that your fear does not protect you. What it does is complicate the very scenarios you are efforting to simplify. Wow. Brings it right back home to the basics. You think that being afraid keeps you out of harm's way in a crisis, but what it does is throw you directly into its path, where you must repeat the lesson no matter how long it takes. And I ask Spirit the question, so tell me, is reincarnation real? And if it is fear, judgment, self and others, the reason I've had to do it so many times? Spirit responds, yes, Keith, and all, yes. According to universal law, all actions spawned from a fearful unconscious place must come back around for review and resolution. If you do not clear your present self of past problems, this was in 1997, if you do not clear your present self from past problems, you will be reborn. Not only meaning reincarnation. but going through many of these rebirthings, these mini phoenixes risings throughout our life, you will be reborn again and again until you do resolve them. The thing I must tell you about reincarnation, is that reincarnation both does and does not exist. When Scripture, as I said earlier, when Scripture speaks of the beginning and the end, it is to accommodate your current frame of reference. Its concepts have to be conveyed in this way because, at least at this point, that's now changing exponentially, but at this point, you're only mindful of a linear timeline and cannot easily conceive of eternity. And I say, yeah, that's a tough one to fathom, all right? And Spirit says, tell me, Keith, how many souls do you think there are? Take your time before you answer. Think about what you just experienced through this progression of dialogue. And I say, there's only one, but it has many faces or facets. Yes, in eternity, those facets and or faces of the one universal soul live all at once. So really all there is you, God. It's about taking responsibility for what we bring upon ourselves. Ourselves ultimately goes back to the self. But your consciousness must flip-flop around through the time-space continuum, incarnation after incarnation, day after day after day. So really all there is you, God. But your consciousness must flip-flop around and through the time-space continuum until you remember that. Keith, you have lived many lives only to find yourself here now. Although you have lived in many different forms, none of them, this applies to all of us, none of them is what you are. And believing otherwise is what creates judgment and karma. That the debt needs to be paid. Although you have lived in many different forms, none of them is what you are. For you are the spirit, you are the spirit that has lived, lives, and will live forever. And I ask the question, what have I done that has landed me in so many lives? In most of your incarnations, Keith, you have chosen the world of the external and material over that of the spiritual, thus guaranteeing the repetition of your births and deaths. But if you want to live eternally, where there are no more births and deaths, just everlasting life, you have to replace your fear with love, self-love, love of others, acceptance, allowance, appreciation. Once you get to that level, your consciousness will no longer be interrupted. The cycle will no longer perpetuate. But as for now, you are only the potential of what you can become. A little bit more. And I say, that's a lot to get. Yes, it is, my friend, but I find I must play with words often to help you understand what I am conveying, and most especially to enable you to grasp some inkling of the wholeness that I am. Look at the word external, E-X-T-E-R-N-A-L. Notice its similarity to the word eternal, E-T-E-R-N-A-L. Observe that there is just one difference. The X in the word external crosses out and interrupts the flow of the word eternal. This is exactly what happens to your consciousness when you choose to live in external mode. Creates more karma, more trouble. And so the current of your life will go until the time when you are able to live in unbroken flow. If you honestly seek union with the highest of all that is, you must hold steadfastly to your intentions and be ever vigilant. When you achieve this life mode, then your next death cycle will be a divine birth. And finally, I ask the question, is that what it means to be reborn? Not quite, beloved. Let me be perfectly clear. Birth's intention is to not be born again. And death's intention is to never again die. The intentions of both are the same, to give you every possible chance to consciously unify with all that is. Now, whether or not you choose to go along with that program is entirely up to you, entirely up to me, entirely up to we. We're at the cusp. We're at the gate. Spirit is knocking at the door. The communal, ever love, and light door. Saying, do you want to come out and play? Well, here we go. Final segment, Sadhguru. I'm going to talk about, as Shunyamurti did, soul contracts. But this theme in this way is karma. Not because you did something wrong. You sinner, you. Go sit in the corner. No cell phone for you for a week. It's not that. It's about standing up and truly pay what is due. To give back to the system by giving back to ourselves. Otherwise, we're in judgment of others and the self, and it creates karma. This is a 26,000-year window that is open. Huge opportunity. Take advantage of it. The debt is due, and it wants you. Sadhguru, for you.
You must learn to be happy with your compulsions. Anyway, you have the compulsion. If you're not happy with it, now you have two problems: compulsion and unhappiness. At least if you have one problem, it's easier to deal with it. You have your compulsions, learn to look at it joyfully. This doesn't mean you're happy about your compulsions. You are happy. Why always we're talking about joy and love and things is to keep the mind pleasant, to keep the emotion pleasant. Because when your mind and emotions are pleasant, you are flexible, we can do many things with you. When your mind and your emotions are in unpleasant, you become rigid. Nothing can be done about you. So already you have one problem, don't create the next one. Unhappiness is unpleasantness. Now when you're in a state of unpleasantness, nobody can touch you, nobody can help you, nobody can do anything with you. If you're in a state of pleasantness, you're willing to be molded into a different shape, isn't it? When you're in a state of unpleasantness, you're not even willing to be touched. So, unhappiness is a bigger problem than whatever damn compulsions you have. A far bigger problem, because now you cannot be touched, you cannot be molded, you cannot be helped. So first settle that. Whatever the nonsense you are, first thing is learn to be joyful and loving. Now, it's easy to work with you, it's easy to help you, it's easy to reach out to you, it's easy to do things with you beyond your likes. Because your likes and dislikes are the basic compulsions. If we have to help you out of that, you have to be in a pleasant state. If you're in an unpleasant state, we cannot make you do something that you do not like. You will do only what you like. The more unhappy people are, the more they will insist, I'll do only this is how I am. Joyful people are flexible. You can make them dance, you can make them cry, you can make them jump. They'll do everything when they're happy. They're flexible. Don't lose your flexibility. That's the most important thing. That's the reason in the morning yoga, starting with your back, slowly you'll work up to the head. Because flexibility is key. If you become fluid, it's great. From being solid, to become flexible, then to become fluid, then to become gaseous, then to become nothing. That looks like a progression, isn't it? So, it's important to keep yourself flexible. Flexibility is not possible when you are in any state of unpleasantness, either in the mind or in the emotion. So that's the reason why being joyful, being loving, being happy, being peaceful is important only for this reason. So don't create double problem, you already have enough. And these are not the only compulsions you have many more. And the very purpose of samyama is to bring all those things that you have hidden out. Because if you bury it, it will only grow. You bury your potatoes, they will multiply and grow. Karma is like a sack of potatoes. The deeper you bury them, the more they will grow. So this is a place to pull them out, dry them in such a way that they cannot grow again. If you put yourself through intense enough sadhana, you will see when you go out in the world, so many of your simple compulsions are gone. And I'm telling you, if you had the compulsions that you had just a week ago, you cannot sit like this, which all of you have been doing wonderfully well. You cannot sit when there are compulsions. Yes, this and that nonsense is coming, it's not that you become 100% free, but so many of your compulsions are finished. That's why you're able to sit. Everything is hurting. Who is not hurting? Everybody is hurting, including me. For me, only one leg, for you both. That much exemption I have because I have to sit through many samyamas. Only one leg. For you, both legs. It's hurting, that is the whole thing. Hurts, I want to get up. Get hungry, I want to run and eat. Feel like this, I want to go and pee. That is what… we've outgrown that. Very hungry, but it doesn't matter. Very painful, it doesn't matter. It's a terrible compulsion. Most people won't bear it for 2 minutes, they'll hop around. Now you're just sitting. And somebody sitting next to you, they're also doing ba ba boo boo boo. They're pulling out all their potatoes, not just yours. You also have to bear with the surrounding potatoes. Rotten potatoes just spilling all over the place, but still. So don't complain, you're doing great but still there are a lot of potatoes to pull out. They need to be every day pulled out, every day. Just doing it once a year, 7 days is not good enough. Every day, you pull them out, dry them up and keep them in. Dry them to such a point where they cannot sprout again. Then it's okay, potatoes are useful. You shouldn't get rid of your potatoes because all your experience of life will go. Just dry them in such a way they don't keep growing. What is there is there. The same damn potato grows into 1 million, that is an exaggerated potato, isn't it? So you dry them and just keep it as what it is. See, it is like this. You have 5 minutes of intense experience, let's say of pain or fear or some torturous experience or something which was abhorrent to you. 5 minutes. This 5 minutes of potatoes will multiply and multiply and multiply and rule your whole life. Wherever you go, that's what you talk about. Wherever you are, that's what you think about. If something moves, you think the same thing is going to happen. Because you're multiplying your potatoes, you bury them and they're multiplying. They will become millions of potatoes, same kind, abhorrent kind. Now, you dry this potato and keep it, it is there. It's a good experience. If you went through a real bad experience, it's a good experience because these are invaluable. What you learn through unpleasant moments in your life is invaluable. If you forget that experience, you are a fool. Only a fool will try to forget. If you're smart, you must remember every unpleasant experience you had without resentment, without anger, without unpleasantness, just in your memory always, so that you never ever get into the same situations again. If you burn your experience, you'll go through the same nonsense all over. We just want to pull out the potatoes, dry them in such a way that they cannot sprout, but we want to preserve the potatoes. We don't want to get rid of them. Otherwise, you'll be again an ignorant fool who'll do the same things all over again. The value of life's experience cannot be thrown away. The value of lifetimes of experience definitely cannot be thrown away. It's needed. If you can keep them at a distance and use them as experience. If you let it grow into you, then it just poisons your whole life. Karma is the only thing, the memory of experience is the only thing which can bring wisdom to you. And it is the only thing which can bind you. And it is one thing which can so heavily poison your life that it can destroy you. So karma is not the problem, how you carry it is the problem. How you carry it is the only problem, karma is not the problem.
Welcome back to Center of Light. Wow, was that powerful. Tonight is Center of Light. Soul contract. Time to pay the piper. You gotta pay the ferryman, you gotta pay the toll, you gotta pay your tax. I get it, this is all analogous of way of saying, and when we take, we gotta give. Soul contract. What did you do before you were born? Why are you here? Who are you? Where are you going? Are we going anywhere, even as we move and gate towards a future possibility? We are. It's the way we understand things. But we're not going anywhere. We don't really hope to get anywhere except deeper within. Something that came to me during this break for myself, bathroom inspiration. To summarize tonight's presentation, I love my time being in this cave. Out of all the dialogue, all the beautiful song, Gita in the Hindi dialect, Gita, song, universe. One unit, one verse of a song, one song. The Hindi scripture is called the Bhagavad Gita, the song. But my bathroom inspiration summary, when Sadhguru was laying it all out, is this. Tonight has been Center of Light soul contract. I feel it's important I go back to the screen for myself. So I can screen myself. Here's the agreement per se we all made. It's time to pay the piper, the toll, the ferryman. Agreement. What is or the name of the seller? Higher ups. What is the name of the buyer? Sexy human being. What is the effective date of this agreement? In the beginning, or alpha. What is the property being sold? Are we selling our soul or what? The soul on loan for the earth experiment, which is to be paid in the end. This is the end of a 26,000 year cycle, the beginning of a new And the only way we can play in that arena is to understand that what is the total amount to be paid of the property, you on the earth, which is karma. It is our karmic debt. The sooner we move into our karma on purpose, you can bet we will hasten its arrival versus it constantly kicking our ass over and over and over. Red Rover, send relief right over. Where was the property located when purchased? 123 Confused Lane, anytime, anytown, Gaia. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bullet point, not bullet point. Heads up. Note. Late payments are subject to penalties. Non-payment is subject to higher court. Dear Lord. It's due. Such a beautiful way for me and you. Move, I suggest. Move from your chest to a greater possibility. Summary. It's over. It's over. No more judgment. No more debt. You can bet it requires all of us to lean into this and to let it integrate into ourselves to where we begin to live from this space of being. It's over. You owe nothing. That's it. There is nothing else. You are complete, and so is your karma. You see, it was self-induced this whole time, over and over and over, day after day after day, night after night after night, year after year after year, life after life after life. Bruh. What will you wake up and drive yourself toward tomorrow? Thought by thought, choice by choice. We can all stop it when we consciously choose. Memory, as Sadhguru said, is about wisdom. I want to add to that. Memory can bring wisdom because it's a lesson and a blessing if we launch ourselves from that platform of lesson or blessing, or memory can bring trouble on the double in our very small bubble of thinking how things are. It's over. If you decree it to be so, if you choose to be so. If you're willing to lose yourself so much, there's no more clutch. And then we become in touch with a greater possibility beyond the karmic debt of the soul contract. We have a contract with why we came here. And when we complete said contract, then our choice to stay or exit is given. How will I know that? You know that in your bones, soul of bones. I feel happy. Life is good. I want to stay because life is so fucking good. Or life is not so good. I'm ready to exit. And the root chakra closes down, blah, blah, blah. And all the other centers, the energy does not receive. It's choice, always choice. But the fire in the furnace is being raised. It raises yourself above your set karma. Move into your dharma. Realize that it's over. Simply monitor yourself. Put sticky notes everywhere. Your car, your mirror in the bathroom, on your ceiling when you wake up, and a huge poster that says, I can choose differently today. Send yourself ongoing reminder messages to your phone every couple hours, 4 times a day. Are you present? Are you centered? You can choose. My karma is over. My debt has been paid. These levels of integrations, there's so much energy, packets of light, downloads, ready and available for all of us to retrieve and receive, only if we believe that it's over. All the nonsense for all of us is complete. It's just simply fucking complete. It's done. It's done. How will we wake up tomorrow? Joy or sorrow? That's really the choice. So we have to learn a new way of thinking, seeing, freeing, and being. Life is not so good, but I'm grateful that I'm conscious enough to express that very sentiment. And in such a way, life is beautiful. It's about the unfoldment of it. From the joy to the push comes to shove it. Tonight has been Center of Light, Soul Contract. It's time to pay the piper. Who's the piper? It's you. It's time to pay yourself what you are due. Please do not misconstrue my love for you. And that is beyond measure. It is my pleasure. Peace, love, and live it up. Give it up. I love you.